G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. I am here, I am back. It is the brand new year 2024 and I know it might seem a bit weird because I've been posting videos in 2024, but this is the very first one. I'm going to be doing casting from this side of the new year. So welcome one and all, we've got a very special game for us. Today you may have already realized who it is, but let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the west side of the map in the color green, playing as the English, it's Nev. And on the east side of the map, in his faithful, trusty color yellow, playing as the Chinese, representing Team GL, it is the one, it is the only, it is the Viper! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. He is back. We got him once again. He's decided to jump on the rank ladder, and what better way to start a brand new year than to cast a little bit of Viper. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I tell you what, I'm so excited. I am so excited right now to be able to cast this game. I'm not going to lie, right? Okay, so I've been on holiday for quite some time. I think I went in total about 3 weeks. And ideally, I would have liked to have had more content for you guys during that time. But some things happened. Most notably, I got sick. And I'm not kidding you, I'm still sick. The entire time I was away, I've been sick. And look, I guess some people say it's the curse of having children. Perhaps. I don't know. Maybe it's just... Maybe I'm just not the healthiest guy. Anyway, look, I'm still a little bit sick. So you'll have to be patient with me. You'll have to put up. You might hear a little bit of a scratch in my voice or speaking of which, I need to cough right now, so just give me a second here. All right, we're back. But I got my water by my side. I'm good. We're all good. And look, I was away for 3 weeks, and I literally wanted to cast so badly. I did the very rare thing of typing Age of Empires 4 into YouTube and just started searching for players or people. I found a really, really cool guy. I was really enjoying his cast. I won't leave a link in the description because I probably won't remember to. But his name was Mao Mao, so go check him out. MAO. So I was loving his stuff. So go say good day to him. But anyway, let's get into it. We got a fun matchup, an old school matchup. 2 civilizations that obviously originate from the very, very beginning of Age of Empires 4 time. The English, the Chinese, largely considered to be a late game matchup, I guess is the best way to do it. You know, you've got 2 civilizations that excel exceptionally in the late game. You never know what you're going to get with the English, and that's the thing about them. You know, these guys realistically could go for some sort of fancy feudal age timing. They could go for a town center early on. They could go for a fast castle, fast imperial. Obviously, we've seen so many damn fast imperials coming out from the English recently, but that's largely because of Divine DFP. We do know that he loves a little bit of a fast imperial. And of course, on the side of the Viper, he's pretty much got one game plan. That's 2 town centers. That's Song Dynasty. That's getting to Castle Age and looking to snag away some of these relics. Typically in this matchup, that is what you're going to see on these larger maps. And even though I call this a larger map, it's obviously the same size as every other map. But one thing to note is that you're quite close to the edge of the map here. You don't have a whole lot of space working behind you, and naturally that means that you're further away from your opponent, even though you're kind of towards the center of the map. So I guess it probably evens out in the long run. But it always feels a little bit bigger whenever you play this map. And what's interesting is, though, it's never the easiest map to wall. I always feel like there's always some sneaky little way you can get into it. So, look, I'm curious to see exactly what we get from these guys, but I've played on both sides of the fence here. I've played the Chinese, I've played the English, and every single time it's the exact same thing for me. 3 TC Fast Castle into Knights for the English, 2 TC Song Dynasty Fast Castle into Knights or Lancers for the Chinese as well. So, let's see how it goes. The Viper now aging up, the Imperial Academy coming down. Let's give this one a rating, see how decent it is. It's actually not too bad. It depends on where he puts that lumber camp. If he goes for the close trees, it's not going to be as good as if he puts it over here, which might seem counterintuitive because it's far away from the town center, but you really want to maximize that early tax. That's the most important one. It doesn't really matter that once you get to the mid game, the late game, then passive tax comes through things like production, but early on, we really want to prioritize that tax coming through because you got big upgrades, right? Like you've got your forestry upgrade, you've got your double broadaxe upgrade coming through, and we want to try and maximize the gold that we get from that. So smart moves here from the Viper if he looks to put that lumber camp down. But for the moment, it's going to be straggler trees. Is working towards that Song Dynasty. Expect to see the Barbican coming down. Probably going to be looking for it on the berries here. House going to be thrown down as well. In fact, he could go a little bit further. He's got the deer stacked up here as well. This wouldn't be too bad of a Barbican. The one thing he's got to be careful of is if the enemy is looking to get units out on the map. However, 4 minutes and 40 into the game, it's still going to take some time for those units to get over and across. Let's see where he looks to place down this Barbican. He's got the resources in the bank to do it. The question's going to be about whether he looks for it. His opponent is now aged up. We'll ride on board with Nav for a little bit as we do indeed start to see it's going to be a single longbowman in queue for the moment. 3 vils on gold, which is always a bit of an indication that it will be a feudal age pressure, at least initially coming out here from Nev. Now keep in mind, both of these players are Conqueror ratings, and there's the Barbican coming down for the Viper. A pretty decent spot that he's got it here, and Nev doing the right thing, pushing away these deer before the Viper can actually take them out with the Barbican, and forcing them away from that Barbican, meaning that the longbows should be able to tank them out if there are any villagers out here, because it's just, remember that the longbows have got 7 range, the Barbican's got 8 range, so you've got to be quite literally next to the Barbican. But one thing to note though, this Barbican, I'm a little bit worried because I think a longbow could probably stand right about here and could zone out all of the food here. So this is one of the things where maybe that Barbican just going up here on the front might have made a big difference. But now, that scout will cop a little bit of damage to the longbow on its way through, and you can see he's rallied exactly towards that point. He knows that the positioning on these landmarks is not optimal when it comes to the villagers on food, and just as we predicted, you've got yourself a sweet spot. Viper finding out the hard way. Look, you can see Nev knows his numbers and just absolutely nails it right there. So he's going to have to bring villagers out, rallying them back, and then maybe moving them forward to the front. But hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen. We've got ourselves a couple of bad boys on the field. It's going to be the first horseman of the game. Second one is out as well for him. Nev does have a spearman on the way. Barracks obviously down already, but it's going to be a slow and steady build up here. Take a look at what we've got from Nev in the way of upgrades. So it's going to be a wheelbarrow opening, followed up with a double broadaxe, and then into horticulture. So I'm a big fan of this opening. I think this is a really smart opening to go with. And it's quite difficult to know what your opponent's going to be doing in this situation, because they could be looking for things like +1 ranged attack, +1 ranged armor. But what Nev's doing is a really smart way to play the English, because when we think about economies, there's a number of different ways that we can scale them, right? Like, let's say you've just aged up to the feudal age, congratulations, and you want to get big. You want to get swole. How are you going to do that? Well, you could add a second town center, okay? Or you could go castle age and go for the King's Palace. That's another way that you could do it. Or you could put in a lot of farms. Or you could go for a whole bunch of upgrades. There's lots of different ways that you can get big on the economic side of things as the English. And by going for this, you're going with much smaller increments in that increase to your economy. So it means that your investment is a lot lower. And of course, your growth as a result is going to be slightly lower as well. But these do start to stack up and start to build up. And we can see that the Viper's only got the wheelbarrow that's coming through, which for the Chinese this early actually works against him rather than helps him. But nice little pickup early on here for the Viper. Just picking up a couple of reinforcements, obviously aware that his opponent does have spearmen out on the field. And just looking to try and keep those longbows taken out. Very nicely done by the Viper. So now we do see Zhuge are going to be on the field as well for him. Yet to go into that second town center at this stage. Going to be looking to keep it real in the feudal age. Now, one of the things to remember in this matchup, Zhuge are considered to be one of the weaker units. So maybe this is Viper just showing his distance from Age of Empires 4 recently. Of course, for anyone who's unfamiliar, the Viper used to be an absolute maniac when it came to Age of Empires 4. One of the best in the game back in the day. But did take a bit of a leave of absence after the... It took some time. A couple of years, but eventually Viper headed on back to Age of Empires 2, and now he's back. He's just playing for fun. But of course, you know, there are small details that you forget when you've been gone for so long, and that is a natural thing. But it'll take time. He'll pick it up. Don't worry. I'm keen to see it. So just to explain, normally in this matchup, one of the main things that you'd be looking to do is go for archers instead of for Zhuge. And the reason why is because the Zhuge has got a range of 4.5. It's got a movement speed of 1.12. And the problem that you're going to have are that longbows are very good against Zhuge. So if we go take a look at the longbow's got the same movement speed, 1.12, but it has a range of 7. And what that means is that longbow is able to constantly kite the Zhuge, and they can barely get a scratch on the longbows. And it naturally means if you've got, say, 100 longbows against 150 Zhuge, the longbow will probably end up winning with like 94 longbowmen. It's just the way that it works. I mean, and that's on the condition that we've got, you know, an infinite battlefield, and that the English player is kiting to the best of their abilities, and they conquer 3. All of these caveats. You guys get the picture. If you just stand still and you do longbows against Zhuge, the Zhuge will win. But we typically try to avoid standing still with our longbows. Anyway, we'll ride on board with Nev. We'll see exactly how he's doing, as he's still got the 3 villagers on gold. Now, there's a couple of options he's got available to him with the 3 villagers on gold. The first one is that he can look to pick up blacksmith upgrades after his eco upgrades, and that's exactly what he started to do. We see +1 ranged attack coming through. So you can expect to see ranged armor coming through shortly, as it is right now, and then look to see fitted leatherwork, and then eventually maybe bloomery, and probably siege engineering somewhere in between those. After you've done that, though, there's not much left to do with your gold, so there's a good chance you might see an age up coming through, but once again, nice little attack from Viper, just forcing his opponent to come back towards the base. And this is what I think is so smart about doing this. It's twofold, hitting your opponent with horsemen here, because by hitting your opponent with horsemen, number one, you're killing units. Just a reinforcement here, a reinforcement there. It's not too impactful, but what's impactful is that your opponent is scared to move out. Look at this. Viper has got his opponent stuck inside his base, despite the fact there is a double military difference between these two guys. So realistically, if Nev pushed the Viper, say in a spot around here, it would be very difficult for the Viper to deal with. So it is a smart move by the Viper. And have a look at this. Hold on, Viper. That's not a mining camp, Viper. Throws the granary down immediately adjacent to the gold vein. He's forgotten what civilization he's playing. He thought he's playing the Holy Roman Empire and that he was aging up to the feudal age. He's not. That's all right, Viper. We will forgive you. All right, so Viper now looking to pick up even more eco upgrades. We see it's going to be horticulture coming in. Has added in the second town center. Does have the Song Dynasty. So this is Viper's win condition, okay? So Viper, basically, at this stage of the game, he wants to get this second TC down, which is what he's got. He wants to get Song Dynasty, which is what he's got. Now he needs to survive. Now, there's 2 different ways he can do that from this position. Number 1 is he can fight feudal. Number 2, he can make a gamble, go castle age, and go for Nest of Bees. The problem is, you're playing against the English, and if they make men-at-arms, which they are, the men-at-arms are very effective at dealing with those Nest of Bees. And it really comes down to skill. And I'm talking about, you know, beastie cutie level of skill to be able to win that. Because now all of a sudden the men-at-arms are attacking the Nest of Bees, so you have to bring villagers to repair the Nest of Bees. And now all of a sudden the longbows are going to snipe out your villages, and so you've got to try and rotate your villages out of town centers. You want to throw out little walls or boxes to keep your Nest of Bees inside. But it looks like the Viper is going to do the right thing. However, there's something curious going on in Viper's base. He's got 1, 2, 3 barracks coming down, and instead of going for those Nest of Bees, it looks like he's going to be going castle for palace guards. Viper now moving plenty of villagers onto the astronomical clock tower. This will get scouted out by Nev. We'll check in with Nev, see where the siege engineering is at. It looks like he's only got 6 seconds left on it. So Nev is going to be 100% geared up and ready to do it. Oh, villagers getting caught out of position. The Viper could be in trouble here. They're going to have to evacuate. He knows exactly what to do. Needs to cancel this immediately and throw it down on the top side here underneath the Barbican. That way it'll stay safe. That way he can get that age up through. That way he can get to his palace guards. Does he have his ranged armor upgrade just yet? It doesn't look like he does. So even if he goes into Castle Age, even if he looks to get these palace guards out, they're going to get absolutely destroyed by the longbowmen. The longbowmen have got that huge amount of attack, and now villagers just getting picked off completely. That villager count for the Viper does begin to drop down to 44 villagers, continuing to lose them out, and we can see that he's made another mistake. The astronomical clock tower is a little bit too far away from the Barbican. The villagers run back towards the Barbican, but it looks like, oh my lord, apologies. I'm sick, I'm dying, I'm casting Viper games over here and I'm crying. But I tell you what, we're going to get through it. There is no lying. We are not going to be defying the Viper today, that is for sure. Oh my lord, I tell you what, this is a tough position for the Viper. So as you can see, it's a solid attack from Nev, but one of the key things to note is there is a distinct lack of battering rams. Nev has gone all in on denying the age up, which is a smart move, but as a result, he's started to lose out on that power. Have a look at this. The whole time Viper was just being cheeky in the middle. I didn't even realize it's just picking up reinforcements, preventing from those new units from coming through. Really smart move. Now going to be moving for that astronomical clock tower. Now keep in mind, Viper's win condition is still online. He still has the 2TC. He still has the Song Dynasty. The problem is he's lost 17 workers. That's massive. And what your opponent is now going to do, he's got 2 options. But the most often one that they're going to do is they're just going to look to go for Castle Age themselves, add in a 3rd TC. It's not necessary at this stage just because you've killed so many of your opponent's villagers. But even just going Castle Age is going to put his opponent Nev in a decent spot here. Considering the military difference between these two, I tell you what, Viper, you're going to have to head to the drawing board, my friend, because things are not looking good. We'll check in with him. It looks like there's no blacksmith still up for the Viper. In this matchup, one of the most important things you can do as the Chinese is throw down that blacksmith look to get your +1 ranged armor ASAP. Look to get your +2 ranged armor ASAP. Really, really important. And in this situation, you'd almost be tempted to supervise those out. So we'll switch over to the incomes per minute so you can get a bit of an idea where these guys currently stand. Keep in mind, Viper's got quite a bit of idols at the moment, struggling with keeping it all together. Sits at about 1,000 resources a minute compared to his opponent, who sits at about 1,600, 1,700 in that region. So absolutely dwarfing the Viper's economy. But now those Palace Guard numbers are beginning to build. He's got 9 Palace Guards. 25 longbows is already going to be absolutely crazy. But one of the things that is working for the Viper at this stage of the game is Nev is still not Castle Age just yet. Palace Guards begin to move up. Villagers also coming out. The Viper going maybe a little bit preemptively with these villagers. The longbow number still quite high, able to one-shot these villagers out. And Viper continuing to lose villagers, losing 5 in this engagement, 6 in this engagement. They're working to take down the battering ram, and they're going to continue going down. But the Viper just losing out on this economy. And Viper really looking to gamble here with the villagers, and definitely not paying off. 37 villagers now up against 51. He's managing to clean up the enemy men-at-arms, but the main focus here for the Viper needs to be those longbows. You need to make sure those longbow numbers are low enough. Then you can engage into those battering rams with your villagers. You cannot let those longbows one-shot your villagers. That is the most important distinction here. And without that ranged armor, it's going to hurt extra, because it only takes 11 longbows to one-shot those villagers. Whereas with the ranged armor, it probably reduces that down from, what, 15? Something like that. So it's from 11 to 15. It makes a pretty substantial difference between it. Villagers now going to be forced away by the early men-at-arms. The Viper manages to hold a 16 villager difference at this stage of the game. Second town center is not down for his English opponent, but remember, he's got other things going for him. He's got that farm economy that has begun to build up here. If we ride on board with Nev, we'll see that he's got quite a few farms online already, 15. On top of that farming economy, and keep in mind the mills have a huge amount of bonus to them. He's got wheelbarrow, he's got double broadaxe, he's got his agriculture upgrade, but now hold your horses. The Viper's starting to move out of home. 15 Palace Guards. Remember, these are Castle Age Palace Guards. He's not playing Juicy's Legacy. These are Chinese Castle Age Palace Guards. The one thing the Viper can win this game right now. All he needs to do, put down a blacksmith, get +1 ranged armor, supervise it, +2 ranged armor, supervise it, go into his enemy's base. He wins. Because his enemy's not Castle Age yet. Once his enemy gets Castle Age, crossbows are on the table, and it's a completely different ballgame. You can still try and run your opponent around, but you're not going to be able to kill them anywhere near as easily. Now Viper can be moving towards that top side. Do we see the blacksmith? Just yet. I really don't know what this granary was about. We'll have to study it a little bit later. Market has come down. Blacksmith is on the front line. But no upgrades just yet. We will wait patiently. The King's Palace getting thrown down in the back. 16 villager advantage at the moment for the Nev. He's doing very well. Second town center, idle for the Viper. He doesn't have the resources for the second villagers. No, he does. It's just he doesn't have the APM right now. He's struggling. He's struggling in this game up against the English. The Viper's kryptonite. I think we're slowly working out what it is. Now, I'm just going to take a quick swig of water. Give me a second here while we've got our little bit of downtime at the 18th minute. How good is water? You know, the only reason I'm drinking water is because there was nothing in my fridge. I came home after, what was it, like 3 weeks? And there was a little bit of leftover pizza. And I was just like, that's just not going to cut it for a casted game. We need something something a little bit less moldy. Sorry. I'm just kidding. I didn't even check the pizza. It wasn't even a consideration. I'll say that much. I just looked at it and I'm like, no. I need Red Bull. Give me the bull. Anyway, it's probably not what you should be drinking when you're sick. Water will do for now, but Viper trying to get a couple back on this north side of the map. 3 villagers will go down, but he's got a long way to work it. Keep in mind the second town center is online for Nev. Now, when it comes to these two guys and who gets to their end game faster, the answer is Viper, but it's only by a skinny amount. Keep in mind the town centers for Viper do produce villagers faster because of the Song Dynasty. He's producing a villager every 15 seconds compared to his opponent who produces a villager every 20 seconds, which means every minute we've got one player who produces 3 villagers out of their town centers and one player who produces 4 villagers out of their town centers. So at the end of the minute, you've got 8 villagers up against 6 villagers. So you can extrapolate that and say, okay, well, in 4 minutes' time, the Viper will be even with his opponent. There you go. Maths. That's pretty cool. So at this stage of the game, where do we go from here? Who's in the prime position? Who's not? If I had to give you my honest assessment right now, I would say it feels like a slight advantage to the English at this stage. Only because of so many villagers being killed. Because normally in this matchup, it is expected that the Chinese will get ahead with their villager count. And one of the things that Chinese look to do in this matchup is they look to go to Imperial Age quite early. So around this timing, maybe a little bit later than that, and look to try and upgrade their palace guards to elite. And because those villagers have been taken out, even though the villager count looks pretty even at this stage of the game, it shouldn't be. It should be in favor of the Chinese player if he wants a chance at winning here. So I would say that at this stage of the game, if I had to give a prediction meter, I'd say it's probably about 70% Nev, 30% Viper. So let's see if Viper's going to be able to pull it back here and work out against his English Kryptonite, whether he's going to be able to do it or not. Adding some spears in. Interesting decision for the Viper. There is now cavalry out on the field for his opponent. A couple of units just thrown around here. Keep in mind, one of the factors on this map to consider as the game moves forward are these large gold deposits in the middle. You've only got 8,000 gold up on that high area. But one thing to note is that these civilizations, both of these civilizations, have gold generation that is passive in the late game. I say passive, but I mean, Chinese probably isn't passive too much. I mean, it's still passive, right? Like Imperial officials collecting gold, that's still passive gold generation. And then the English obviously have got their enclosures, one of the best technologies that there is in the Imperial Age. So this is another consideration to make, but typically you'd want to look to try and take control of this central gold. It is really important. And we do now start to see Nev making his way down towards this central location. First of the outposts will come up. A little bit of walls coming in as well. Have a look at this. I'm very curious about these walls. What problem does he have with the berries? What have the berries done to you, my friend? We will remain unaware, that is for sure. Anyway, we'll check in on the farm transition. See how the Viper's doing. Now, one thing to note, I just noticed there was like a little bit of lag on my cursor just then. So I apologize if there's any lag on this video. My computer has literally been on for the last 3 weeks because I sometimes I'll jump in with the remote desktop. And I forgot to restart it before I recorded this game. Like, I was that keen. Literally, the suitcases are outside my door. And I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm going to unpack the suitcases straight away. What I didn't tell her is I'm going to cast a game before it. Just because I've been missing my boy. I've been missing my Viper. And I've been missing Age of Empires 4. And I think that's a good thing, right? Like, that is a really good thing. It feels so good to be motivated. And motivation is such a weird thing as well. Like, I don't know. I've been honest about it before. Mental health. It's... I've struggled with it in the past. And some days you can wake up and you don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to do anything. And some days you're just really motivated. And for me, the last couple, this time off that I've had has been really, really wonderful for me to just be like, you know what? I absolutely love what I do. And I just can't wait to get back there and just throw down so many casted games until I get burnt out again, which is I guess that's kind of typical for me. I notice I always seem to like commit to something so much until I burn myself out. How do I stop myself from doing that? I really don't have an off switch. Anyway, let's get back to the action because it's starting to work its way in towards the middle of this map. We see a preemptive Springald coming out from Nev. It's added in a second one, and that's a smart move. Up against the Chinese, you can be suspicious of their siege ability. Of course, we're talking about one of the most important landmarks available to the Chinese, the astronomical clock tower. Gives them a significant advantage when it comes to siege. You can make siege with much greater health. Means that instead of 2 shots from a Springald, you're going to need 3 shots. Whether Viper looks to it, though, is going to be a different question. Viper going with an interesting composition here. Palace Guard Zhukannu. Definitely not something that you see often out of the Chinese. It's something that you can see in the Imperial Age, definitely. Something that you might see early Castle Age as the Zhukannu sort of get rolled over into the Castle Age and the Palace Guards start coming online. But for the most part, it's going to be Crossbow Spear. It's going to be Zhukannu Spear, and it's just going to be Palace Guard. The good old-fashioned Palace Guard Spear with a couple of, nest of bees in the back. And look at this. Viper actually starting to get a bit relentless up the back here. Have a look at this. Is Viper getting baited by the walls? Like, these walls were thrown up here to guard the berries. And now Viper, in particular, is like, these berries need to go. Nev is sitting here just laughing as Viper crosses the 85 villager threshold, the same as Nev. The single villager behind enemy lines tries to make its way through. It's got the wheelbarrow upgrade. Unfortunately, will go down. Viper gets his single kill. And now where does he go? Where are you going now, Viper? Another raid down towards that south side. Viper just trying to make space here for himself as the villager count continues to climb. Remember, he should be up 32 villagers at this point. You can see the difference between them. He's still taking out villagers here, but the crossbows are going to ensure that not a lot of damage is going to be done. Managing only to take out about 4, maybe 3 villagers. And when a guy's got 2 TCs, that's not a good thing. Behind this now, big attacks on the way through. Viper, a distinct lack of siege on the field. Units on the wrong side of the map. Keep throwing down safely in the back of the base. Viper under pressure towards the front. Battering ram working its way in as well. A couple of knights look like they might make their way behind enemy lines. He's got nothing back here to defend it. There were a palace guard or 2 behind this, but now unfortunately it looks like it's not going to be the case. Zhukunu got their +2 ranged attack upgrade, but you're up against men-at-arms with armor cladding. You are not doing any damage to these bad boys. Look at this. Piddly little damage. 1 damage per bolt here. We need crossbows. And this is the power of crossbow spear versus Palace Guard and Zhukunu. Behind enemy lines, Viper with the Zhukunu. He's looking to try and find a way through. There were units there, but he's now brought them back towards the base. He knows he's in trouble. The Viper holding on for dear life at this stage of the game. Needs to bring more crossbows out. And finally, the nest of bees has been called to the front. A little bit of lag right there. I don't know if you guys saw it. If you did, sorry. Not my fault. I mean, it is my fault. I should have restarted the computer. Ville's getting chased out. A distinct lack of walls from the Viper now starting to hurt him. He's about to get population blocked if this village goes down. The village is burning. The villagers go down with it. He's lost 63 so far. 24 villager deficit now for the Viper. He's facing off against his English opponent and struggling as the men-at-arms destroy the villagers. They run back. And now those reinforcements for the Viper make their way through. Oh, I had a little bit of cough there. Apologies. I tell you what, I've been sick for so long. I just want it to stop. Please, body. Just beat this thing. Just let me go. I just want to cast. I just want to live my life without coughing every 3 minutes. Please, Lord. Anyway, villagers working their battering ram. Finally able to take it down. The Viper, I feel like a killing blow has been dealt, though. The problem that he's got is he's got no control over the middle. Have a look at the gold. He's got 2.6k in here, which is fine. The problem's going to be, how does he get a foothold in the middle? Because you want to know what's coming in the middle? It's going to be a Berkshire. There's no 2 ways about it. On a map like this, a Berkshire is absolute insanity. This is one of the best maps for the Berkshire, because when it goes down, there is nothing you can do about it, short of just stacking up trebuchets. And you do not want to be stacking up trebuchets. You just don't want to do it. You don't want to be making 6 trebuchets in Imperial Age when your opponent's playing English and they're laughing at you as you try and kill the Berkshire. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, I guess the other option you've got are things like battering rams, if you want to get in nice and close. Let's check in with the composition for the Viper, though. It looks like he's going with Palace Guards, now mixing in a couple of crossbows. Still got the Zhukunu out. I'm a big fan of the Zhukunu in Imperial Age, and a big fan of it in the Feudal Age. Even in the early Castle Age, it's really, really strong. But in this sort of late Castle Age, it feels a bit weaker, just because all of the armor upgrades are online now. It means that you're going to be doing a lot less damage. We do see a barracks getting thrown down for the Viper. Might be an indication that he's heading into Spear. I'd love to see Spear Palace Guards, a couple of crossbows, and just Nest of Bees. But have a look at this. Just still behind enemy lines this night, doing work. Never's taken out 70 villagers this game of the Viper. Viper could literally be on 140 villagers right now, and he's not, because of Nev's relentless raids. Finally, the Nest of Bee has arrived. The middle of the map, 2 Springles flanking the English army. Sacred Site neutralized in the north. In the south, coming up as well. We're right on board with Nev. He's going to be on the defensive here. Keep in mind, he's fighting uphill. The Springles have no idea what they're up against. The Palace Guards could quite literally just run from the top straight down. The outpost is yet to have been constructed here, so no line of sight for him. Viper now looking to build a foothold for the center. Needs to keep his units here ready, on standby. Springald will come out, firing at the Zhukunu, and I think immediately Nev should realize, hold on a minute, I gotta get this in position. These are not positioned correctly. Looks like the villagers may get focused down. The longbows starting to tee off. The Nest of Bees gonna find a little bit of magic. Viper trying his best to hold on. We enter into the cinematic mode as the Nest of Bees moves forward. Apologies, I'm dying here. No, don't do it, Viper. He's going for a kiss. The Springald, together with the villagers, looking to try and take out the Nest of Bees. Unfortunately, it's going to go down, but Viper's cleaning up the front line. More and more villagers taken out. The keep will come online. There's a handful of villagers still back here, but is it going to be enough to secure the gold? That's what's important. He needs to get down here a little bit further, get an additional keep up. Make sure that enemy Imperial landmark, when it does inevitably come up, it does not prevent the gathering of gold. He's able to stand back on this line for the most part. The Jukunu, together with the crossbow, should be able to deal effectively with these men-at-arms because they've got that backup from the keep. But remember, the big threat right now is that Imperial Age landmark. It simply goes right here in the middle, and it's all over. It is all over. There's no way, because how do you get gold? It's just not possible. You need to get gold, and then you need to kill the land. There it is. I am a clairvoyant. A clairvoyant? A clairvoyant? A Nostradamus? Drongodamus? Nostradrongo? Anyway, you know what we haven't talked about yet? Aliens. That's going to be the word on everybody's lips this year. You wait and see. I've been saying it for years, but this year, 2024 is going to be our year, guys. You just wait and see. There's some exciting stuff. I know that there's going to be a paper coming out soon. That'll be an exciting one. But hopefully we get something more tangible soon. And there's the Imperial Age coming through. The Viper now up against an Imperial Age opponent, realizing he's got no... Okay, realizing he's got no gold, taps out and says, I can't do it. And there you go. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, bit of a tough one there for the Viper. He almost managed to scrounge it together, but it just wasn't his day. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. It's good to be back.